Call the Mars City Council meeting to order, May 19th, 12 o'clock. Would we please stand and address the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We have a motion to approve the, or roll call, Bev, please.
Nelson?
Yes.
Knapp?
Yes.
Rexbro?
Yes.
Goodchild?
Yes.
Perky?
Yes.
Motion to approve the agenda. Second.
Motion been made and second to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I'd like to welcome everybody to the, in the chamber today, in Austin from the Lamar's Daily Sentinel, and particularly you people that are watching over television at our council meeting today. First thing on our agenda is we have a couple of hearings. Excuse me. The first one is fiscal year 2014, 2015 budget amendment. At its last meeting, the council established this as the date and time for the public hearing regarding the amendment to the city's 2014, 2015 adopted budget. Notice has been published and the state required resolution is attached. The budget amendment includes the fire special funds donations of $60,000, the library trust fund donations of $16,000, donations and fund balance. Number 3 is the economic development, $450,000, it's a grant, property owners and lost. The number 4 is the other miscellaneous, which is $362,000, involves the FEMA and grants and fund balance. The STP for $300,000 and S grants and STP funds. The public building of $1,500,000, it's a TIF funds. And the enterprise funds from the water, wastewater, $5,350,000 funds balance and bonding, for a total of budget amendment of $8,038,100. At this time, I'm going to open the hearing and ask for any written or oral objections to comments of this proposal. Hearing none, I'm going to ask it one more time if there's any written or oral objections to this hearing or comments to the proposal. If not, I will close the meeting at this time and address the council if they have any questions or anything. If not, I'll accept a motion.
Motion adopting resolution 15-12, amending the 2014-2015 adopted budget.
I think it's 1511.
No,
It is 11, because we didn't approve the last resolution.
So it is 11?
Sorry.
Thanks for cleaning that up.
Shut me out.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion been made and second, adopting resolution number 15-11, amending the 2014 and 2015 budget, adopted budget. Can we have a roll call on that, Beth?
Knapp?
Yes.
Perky?
Yes.
Goodchild?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Rexbro?
Yes.
Motion carried. The second hearing is on the Main Street Theaters Incorporated, and it has to do with the management agreement. The council has set this date as the date and time for public hearing on a proposed management agreement for the operation of the Royal 3 Theater. The agreement will be with Main Street Theaters Incorporated. The notice has been published, and at this time, I'm going to open the hearing, and if there's any written or oral objections or comments on the proposal to this agreement. Greg?
Is this time to ask questions about the agreement? Not just
Sure.
okay.
Sure, you bet.
Greg Mitchell, Central Avenue, Lamar's. First one on section for appointment. Number 2, it has a term for 3 years. If at any time we decided as a community not to underwrite the theater any longer, for whatever reason we might have, is there a way for us to get out of that agreement?
Bill, you know?
Yes, it can be terminated. Page 5 lists the termination qualifications. Again, it can be by mutual consent, it can be at the end of the termination period or the end of the contract, or any breach of the other contract, of the contract document.
But I guess the question was, is that if we just decided as a community that we no longer wanted to have the theater and underwrite the theater, could the management, Main Street management, say, well, we're not going to terminate it? Is there a way in which
I
the
mean, there could be penalties. If we decide to terminate at the end of the first year or something, you know, you'd have to work out like any other contract, what kind of damages or something like that that the other party receives. And so you could get out of it, but there might be some
a cost to it?
Yeah, there might be some cost.
Okay. Under Section 2, it says duties of the city. Number 2, operating expenses. Do we have an estimate of what the total yearly expenses will be? There are 10 items listed underneath that section, and it does say not limited to that. So do we have an operating expense
Yes,
estimate?
they have provided all the documents for the last 2 years' worth of history. They have not done the projections yet for the upcoming year, but they've done the historical projections for the last 2 years. As we spoke at a previous meeting, the theater for the last 2 years has been approximately a break-even operation, just looking at the operation side.
But I guess that doesn't answer my question. The question is do we have a figure for the total amount of expenses that we estimate to be for a yearly basis?
Yes, I will get that for you in just a
Okay.
couple minutes here.
Bill's been busy this week. You can tell.
Did you have additional questions while?
Oh, yeah, okay, then I'll go on and say, on number 7, where it has the management fee, the management fee is $3,000 a month plus another $600 a month, so it's $3,600. How was that figure determined?
That is what they've been getting for the past 2 years as they operated under the bank's ownership. And that was determined to be a fair, reasonable amount. So we continued on with the same amount.
How is that determined? Is it determined on a certain percentage of the gross income? Or was it just arbitrarily determined by
That
the
is
management team?
That is their flat management fee. That's what they wanted to charge, and we agreed to that.
So it wasn't, so they basically determined what the fee was going to be?
Right, they told us what they wanted. Total expenditures, approximately $113,000.
And that was above and beyond the management fee, is that correct?
That includes the management fee.
Okay, so you had about $70,000 worth of expenses? Would that be about right, of operating expenses?
Yes.
Okay. And do we have a total estimate of about the gross amount of income that the theater brings in?
Approximately $200,000.
Okay, now under section number 3, where it has management responsibilities and issues, I looked at number 4 there, and it has maintenance, and it says the manager shall be responsible for all custodial maintenance of the theater and shall clean, maintain all restrooms and so forth. And number 14, it has service contracts where it says the city hereby authorizes the managers to enter into service contracts. So is the manager responsible for the actual cleaning and maintenance, or are they responsible for paying the contract services?
They're responsible for doing the custodial services such as cleaning the restrooms and that type of thing. And they can enter into a contract for other services like snow removal, pest control, trash removal, that type of thing.
But it does say here janitorial and maintenance.
That's what it consists of, Greg.
Pardon me?
That's what it consists of, just what you got done telling me.
Oh, okay. Then I guess I don't know, I guess I don't understand what shall clean, maintain all restrooms, service areas, and viewing areas of each screening room in a reasonable, neat, clean, and sanitary manner. It sounds to me like the management team is responsible for the maintenance of the building, and here it says they can get into an agreement.
They have an option to, if they want to get somebody to do the snow removal and things like this. The manager has the
Okay,
option to do it.
so then section 4 of the management responsibility and services, is that redundant then?
Section 14 refers to if they actually hire somebody else to do it. I'm not sure.
I understand that. But, what does number 4 mean then? What's number 4
They
mean?
are to keep the building clean at all times. So if somebody spills a drink in one of the
Yep.
seats, they are to go and clean it, regardless of whether the janitorial group is there or not. They are responsible for keeping it clean. They're responsible if the toilet backs up. They'll clean that immediately, those kind of things, on a day-to-day basis.
Okay. And on section 8, on that, you can read through it, and it says, then it finally goes down to that the theater, the management, has a total, can determine in its sole discretion the hours of operation of the theater to maximize profits. So can you give me an explanation of how the theater is going to maximize profits?
By determining, I mean, they're not gonna do a show at 8 o'clock in the morning because it's not gonna be attended, I guess they're going to try and choose the time slots that best fit the audience. And that would be to maximize
So, but
profit.
they have the sole determination of whether they want to have this open on a Wednesday if they want? That's what it says here, in my opinion. Is that correct?
Yes, I can tell you that they have been very receptive to city input. If we desire to show at a specific time, I'm sure they would take that into consideration and work with us.
And Greg, just from the last few years, just from personal knowledge, during the summer, they'll run matinees, during the school year, they
Yeah.
don't. So
I really don't have any problem with the hours that they run.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to do that, but when I read this, when it says that, when we looked at this at the beginning to buy it, it wasn't looked at to be made a profit. It was looked at for a quality of life issue. And now this says here to maximize profit. Okay, so now I want to know whose profit is going to be maximized. Okay,
The city
And
gets all revenue generated. The management company is only getting their fee plus the fee on the screens that you referred to
so theirs is a
earlier.
flat fee regardless of what the
Right,
profit is.
right.
Okay, and I guess that's the last of that I had a question on. Can I ask any other questions concerning the theater at
Sure,
this point? Okay.
sure.
We had a conversation the last time I was here about the inspection. Has there been any update in the inspection of the theater that we want to share with the community?
I thought we had it up.
We had it,
Yeah.
We walked through the building and all the deficiencies on the fire code side were addressed, and the other ones, anything that Jason had were addressed.
Yeah, because I received a letter, a note from, it says from Scott Langle, and the note on it said additional request information will be forthcoming. And it says regarding the inspection, so I didn't know what was forthcoming. Now, as far as the fire was concerned, it just mentioned things that were done in 2010, and then on the on the backside, it had, we have inspected the above premises and found that the following violations, and you had to comply, and it didn't have a date on when it was going to be corrected by or whether it was complied with. So,
They've all been complied with.
We can share with you, they've all been compliant.
well, I would just think that maybe we'd have an update, the community could get an update on what that inspection was, and how's that working. And there were some other concerns that everyone had on there, and that was like cleaning up basements and stuff like that in the windows. And I was just wondering if there was a plan in place to, and a cost for taking care of those things.
John and I both sit on the energy board, and I know that that's one of the buildings that is being looked at for energy saving potential. I can clearly say nothing's been decided yet, but the building's definitely being looked at because I myself am very concerned about the utilities this winter. But there's been no decisions made.
Okay. Well, thank you. And the last one is the Community Betterment Program 2. How's the donations coming in to repay the city?
I can address that. Exactly where we're at on that, Greg, is we started the Betterment, Community Betterment Project 2, and we formed a 503C, of which all the funds will be going into in regard to the payment of the projects, or be going through. And our 503C got hung up with the IRS for probably 2 or 3 weeks. So that backed it off a little bit. And we had a community betterment project, I think it was about 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, meeting. And it is cleared. Everything's go on the 503C. We're ready to go with it. And in our next meeting, we will be addressing how we're going to address the funds and or where the donations coming in.
Has any donations come in as of yet?
Yeah, the Northwest Bank, came in what, Bill?
They paid their 100,000
Their
that they were going to
100,000.
donate, and Avery Brothers have made
They
2
made
payments
theirs,
on theirs.
to theirs.
Okay, do you have a total amount yet, or?
You know what's in
The
it?
118,000.
Yeah, something like that.
Is there going to be a way in which the community will be updated on that on a regular basis so that we'll know how those are? Like, for example, when I looked at this thing from the fire department, there was no updated date on it. And it would be nice to be able to see if those things are recommended, that we see completion dates and so forth on it.
Well, I think, going back to the Community Betterment Project, what we can do is, sure, we can give updates on that, it's open meetings,
Okay?
and we can certainly address that.
Does somebody have
As
to
we
come-
go along.
Does somebody have to come and ask, or will it just automatically be done?
I don't know.
Is the
It's up to
press-
you.
is the press there?
I'll be more than happy to
The
give you a
press is
call,
here.
Vic.
Yeah. You want to start donating now?
And what, and the last suggestion I might have is if we could have a podium that's a little lower than this, I kind of have a hard time looking.
I tell you
over
what, call me Clegg, and I'll get you a step stool next time.
Joe, Mayor, you're out of Joe's got it. Greg.
Greg,
That's not a city group. That's an independent group, community betterment.
But aren't there members of the city council that are on that?
One.
Okay?
One, yeah.
And so are you able to tell the council what is going on from the board? I mean, is that the reason why you're on
They
it?
run under their own,
yeah,
That's why that 501c3 was set up, and so that they can be a bit more autonomous than having to jump through all of the hoops from the city, and also as a donating, so that people can have the tax benefits of donating to the 501c3. And I don't think a lot of fundraising has been started until that was in place. Am I correct there, Jim?
that's right, yeah, that's it.
Okay. It just seems that even though it is a 503C.
501c.
501C, 503B.
Yeah.
501C program, that it would probably be a good deal for the city council to be on top of it and be able to inform the community of how well this is going. Because remember, this was a deal that was set up for quality of life, and it's looked for donations and not city money to be paid for. And so a regular update about how it's going would probably be a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're asking for
No.
anything that's,
I think once we get it up and going and everything Greg way, we can answer some of those questions.
And I think there's pretty good communication on phase one also,
well,
when that
but
project,
yeah,
those projects were being done.
Again, I'm not saying that there wasn't, I just want to make sure that it continues to go that way so that we are updated and know what's going on.
And hold on one second, those donations there was a pool of money that's jump-started that, wasn't there? Wasn't there a certain balance in there before the 105 donations, or?
All that was in there was the Avery payments that they've made on their annual pledge, and then the park committee pledged funds.
Okay.
So that was all that was in there.
Okay,
before
okay, I wasn't sure.
There was nothing left over from the previous
Okay,
No, those
CVP.
okay.
However, I need to share this, that, wasn't it 98% of those pledges came in, Joe? Something like
On
that?
round one.
On the,
On round one?
yeah,
And that's absolutely unheard of from
I forget exact number.
it was
but
between 95 and 98%, which is phenomenal.
Well, thank you very much.
I don't think it'd be unusual for some people not to want the public to know what they donated. So that would be up to the committee to make that
Well,
decision.
I wouldn't think that the board would have to say who made the donations, Ken. It would be just the total amount that has been paid back to the city to pay for the, I'm not asking,
You're
I
talking
don't think
overall
the
thermometer
community's looking,
thing.
I don't think the
Yeah.
community's looking for who gave what. I think they're just
Right.
looking at when is it paid for.
Yeah,
Well,
sure.
that'd be a
That's-
good record of what the money is distributed.
Yeah.
Sure.
There always has been.
Well,
Well, good.
I'd kind
I'm
of like
glad
to
to hear that.
pigtail on that, and that is, what priority have we set on getting the city back our 350? Is that the first 350 that's in that donated pool? Or is it the second 350? Or is it within 3 years? Or I guess that's a pigtail question, because I'm with Greg on that. I'd like to know when we get our money back, because I wasn't for this. Still not for it. But we're moving forward with it. So where does it fall in the getting back into our checkbook?
I don't know if that's specifically been decided.
It's one of the first projects
projects.
that we'll be funding, yes.
Okay.
And I'm just assuming this, but when the donations do come in and we get the 250 that we have to pay back, is that what it is?
It's 350 total, but we got the 100,000.
Right.
We got 100,000, so there's 250 to pay back. I would assume that's the first project that's going to get
Correct.
paid back to the city.
Correct.
That's fine.
But
That's
some
the
people
direction
do
we're heading.
earmark too. They may decide they want to earmark for. say,
Another
a
project.
different
I
project,
understand that
yeah. So
too.
you have to take that into account as
Right.
well.
I understand that too.
Greg, question, did we answer all your questions?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to
Okay.
make sure.
Thank you.
Also think, Greg, every year as this goes through, you're gonna get an update on the revenue and the expenses, because that's gonna be a report that we get as a council.
On the
So
theater.
that will be public information. Just like his numbers that he just got from last year, you'll get numbers for this year when we get them. So every year you'll get the report that this is calling for on what's happening.
That's good, and I'm glad to hear that, I might go back to the original question I had, is whether or not, if you're ever gonna decide if we're spending too much for quality of life or theater, okay? And, I'm not pushing on that, I just wanna make sure that we as a community understand and know what it is we're spending, and so that if it comes to a point where the community goes back and says, hey, we're spending too much money on that, okay? Then we want you to be responsive to it.
I agree. I agree
Yeah,
with your comment.
that's a good point.
Good comment.
Thank you.
Dave?
Just on the inspection side, most fire inspections, when we do those things are corrected in 30 days or less.
Okay.
And
Good to
those
know.
are public records, they're in my office, so anytime anybody has a question or would like to see those are always available. In regards to the theater, there were several of us that walked through it, before the city purchased it. We had heating and cooling contractors and construction contractors and fire inspectors and everything like that. So in 2010, they did hundreds of thousands of dollars of work to that theater to reopen it. And I was just the fire chief probably the first 6 months when that happened. And we walked through there, and that's when the sprinkler system was added and the fire alarm system was added and updated emergency lights and exit signs. And when we went back through before the city purchased that, those things were in place, but some of them didn't have current inspections and minor things like that. So all those current inspections were brought up to date on the sprinkler, the fire alarm, fire extinguishers. We had to fix a few exit signs and things like that. But all that was pretty well corrected in the first 30 days. And that report was issued to the city. And I do have a copy of that, and it's available anytime anybody wants it, so.
Okay, thanks, Dave.
That's probably the original one.
Okay, moving on. Any other questions? If there's no other comments or written or oral objections, I'm going to close the hearing. I will now entertain a motion.
Well, actually, I had one quick question, a follow-up to one of Greg's comments, and that is under termination, and this is probably addressed to you, Joe. For item 4, number 1C has, if it's dissolution of the manager corporation, so why can't there be an item added, closure of the theater? Would automatically dissolve the contract, and as opposed to having to worry about penalties or anything else. I mean, I think he brought up a good point there. If it can be dissolved because Main Street Theaters dissolves, why can't it go away if the theater closes?
I guess it could, we never.
I mean, I think Greg brought up a good point there.
That, you know, if the city decided to close the theater, I guess we never looked at that as a possibility. I mean,
Well, anything's a possibility.
anything's a possibility.
I mean,
but
we have fires every day, you know, the thing could burn down and then we're stuck with a management contract for a shell. So I don't think it's a bad idea to maybe have that in there. I think that was a very good point that he brought up.
The only thing is that's speaking for a future council, you know, it might be entirely different 5 people up here. They might make an entirely different decision.
Right.
They can at the
The
time.
whole contract
Yeah, they can,
is speaking for future councils. I mean, that's the nature of a contract. I'm just saying, what council now or in the future would want to pay a management contract on a closed theater?
Very good point.
we could add,
Yeah, that can be added.
we could add a paragraph.
Absolutely good point.
I mean, it can just be, you know, just like C, just a very simple,
Put it in motion.
I also had some comments. I read through it, and I was kind of curious as to it. It reads under number 2, duties of the city. And then you go back to the duties of the manager, and it's like the city pays any violations that the management would incur in costs, expenses, correct violations of any federal, state, county, municipal laws or ordinances or regulations. Then the city pays the fines on those. That's how this contract reads.
Which section?
Well, duties of the city, number 2, operating expenses, number 2B, and then if you go back over the management fee, which is number 2C, the city shall pay the manager agreed upon monthly, wait a second, I'm on the wrong one. Compliance with the laws down at the bottom of number 3, management responsibilities and services, compliance with the law. The manager shall comply with all laws, ordinances, and regulations in its management of the theater, provided, however, that the city shall be responsible for any costs or expenses incurred in correcting a violation. Am I reading that wrong?
What I think what that means is if, all right, let's say that the management has to make sure that all fire things are
Sure.
going, to keep it going. But if that requires another alarm system or something like that, the city has to put that in.
Oh, okay. It's
You
not,
see what I'm saying?
yes, it's,
The manager's responsible for making sure that it's all going
Okay.
well. All the exits are there and everything else, but if it requires some type of new device or something, then that's what the city has to pay.
If the sprinkler system is tested and doesn't work, the city pays to fix the
Right.
sprinkler system.
Or just every year when we take the fire extinguishers, we have, 20 city buildings, we take care of the fire extinguishers. We pay for those to be inspected every year, but the manager is in charge of making sure that company shows up to do it.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
Yep.
I just
That answer
wanted,
your question, Clark?
that question, yes. And then the other thing that I'd maybe like to propose is, because we've been told that over the last 2 years, it's been basically a cash flow deal, can we set a limit on this? Can we just say, costs can't exceed profits? And just draw a line in the sand?
I know where you're going on that, and it,
So it's not a budget issue?
yeah, but I don't think that we could even realistically consider, I mean, not that I disagree with you, but I don't think it's realistic until we've had ownership of it for a while. I mean, we haven't had it, so we have no idea. I mean, we have what they've had for the last 2 years, and it's been in a unique situation with the bank and everything else. So I think until we have our own data, and then after that, once again, Greg has a good point, the council constantly reevaluates.
Okay.
I mean,
I
that would be
agree with
my
that.
suggestion.
We don't have the historical data to make that stipulation, I don't think, at
Everything's
this
second and
point.
third hand right now, and until you have those first-hand numbers, I think that would be really difficult and dangerous to do.
Okay. Answers.
All done?
All done.
I'd entertain a motion.
Make a motion approving a 3-year management agreement with Main Street Theaters.
With the change?
Yep, Inc., for the operation of the Royal 3 Theater with an additional termination option for addressing closure of the theater by the city.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion been made and second approving a 3-year management agreement with the Main Street Theaters Incorporated. Help me out on,
I just said
Verbi-
with
you got
an
the word?
additional termination agreement addressing closure of the theater by the city.
for the operation of the Royal 3 Theater. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose?
Me?
Motion carried.
Because he didn't know who he was.
Okay, general discussion. John?
Nothing.
Wait, citizens.
Citizen.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah. Moving a little ahead of the schedule here, ma'am. Please,
How are you?
let me share with you how we run the general discussion. And I didn't make this up, but somebody told me to. But anyway, state your name and address and the purpose, and the council members here can't make a decision on the topic, but they're always willing to listen, okay?
Perfect. I appreciate that. My name is Jamie Spangler, for those of you that don't know me. I live at 618 Plymouth Street here in Lamar's, and I actually wanted to just talk briefly today, I guess, about an intersection by my house, specifically Plymouth Street Southeast and 7th Avenue. It is an intersection right outside of Galen Catholic Schools, also right outside my house, and I feel it's a very dangerous crosswalk situation right now. The crosswalk, if you can envision it, there's cars parked along Plymouth Street, obviously constantly during school hours, and the crosswalk is literally between the cars. So when a pedestrian, which in most cases is a child, which is below the level of a car, they cannot be seen until they get directly to the street. And often traffic, I've seen several near misses where the traffic is coming and they probably have great intentions of keeping it a safe situation, but the car traveling cannot see the pedestrian being a child in the crosswalk and whatnot. So I feel the safest option would be a stop sign, if possible. That would cause, obviously, the traffic on Plymouth Street traveling east and west to stop and pretty much be forced to look for pedestrians, and that would make it the safest situation for the children. Really all pedestrians, but the kids are a little unique, the fact that they're below the cars that are sitting there. I've seen several instances where children are waiting to cross the street and parked cars are backing into them as they're waiting to cross. I've seen several situations, like I said, where oncoming traffic does not see the pedestrian. I did take it upon myself before I came here just to go look at some of the other schools in town and how they're dealing with that exact same situation. And what I found is that Clark, Franklin, there's 4 stop signs on all 4 corners of the block. Cluckhone also, and of course, we all know, I don't know the name of the street, but in front of Lamar's Community High School and Middle School, there's, at every intersection, there's a stop sign. And I feel, again, that would make it a much safer situation up on Plymouth Street by Galen. I have spoke to the school. I spoke with Father Kevin Richter. He actually wanted to be here today with me because he supports me 100% in my concerns, but he was out of town for a previous meeting. So,
Ms. Spangler, which intersection is
What
that?
address was that again, Mrs. Spangler?
Plymouth Street and what?
at 7th Avenue?
So it'd be one block
West
west
of the current stop sign.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a stop sign at 6th, and there's a stop sign at 8.
Right.
And, maybe it's a logical question for people to say, that street's been this way forever, but if you're familiar, there's been a lot of changes on that end of town with the church and the new parking lot. It's increased traffic. The school's doing some things different in regards to the bus pickup has been moved. So the parents line that street to pick up students, where in the past it was kind of I call it a drive-through to drop off and pick up children. So there's been a lot of changes. The city, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, you guys did put up a crosswalk sign, like a pedestrian sign. Unfortunately, I could say it hasn't changed the situation or really helped. And I know everybody loves stop signs, but I
do.
I do think,
I like them.
I know, I'm sorry,
I
I've
do like
been reading
'em.
the paper. I know what's been
Seriously, I do
going
like
on.
'em.
John does.
Okay, good.
I'll tell you what, Mrs. Spangler, that could have been brought her up at a better
I
time.
know, and I understand, but I do feel it's, the reason I'm here today, I've been watching this for several years, but my child was almost hit 2 weeks ago, and a car, it's a very good person, you would all know her, had to swerve to miss the child. Thank heavens there wasn't oncoming traffic, because we would have had a head-on collision with children in a crosswalk. So, I hate to say I'm surprised there hasn't been something bad yet, but I'm concerned that there will be in the future, so.
Are there any stop signs at that intersection now? Not
There-
on 7th
Not
either?
on 7th.
I believe when 7th enters
7th
into
stop.
Plymouth
There
Street.
wasn't?
Yeah.
Just the east-west does not have
The
stop signs?
east-west is not,
Okay.
there's not a stop
So
sign.
it's a T,
Yes.
so
Okay.
just that one.
And that
lane.
actually makes the crosswalk more confusing.
Yeah.
Because there's traffic coming from 3 directions, from 7th
Yep.
and to Plymouth Street. So it's a very dangerous
To
situation.
me, it's almost like a four-way stop at an elementary school.
It would be great, in my opinion.
I want to apologize to you because you asked me how you approach the council, and I says, show up 10 after 12, you go up, you speak for a few minutes. So I apologize, you didn't
That's
get up
fine.
here for a little bit, but.
I learned a lot.
I was wondering what, maybe a blinking yellow light like we did on 12th, would you think that would aid? And I don't know if it's feasible or, logical, but we did that down by the high school, by the football field.
Yep, and I guess my response to that would be is that's, obviously it's a very busy crosswalk and a very busy street, but it is a little bit removed from the entrance of the school. The one I'm addressing is, 20 feet, 50 feet is a school entrance, and I think a stop sign would be the safest alternative. If you guys find otherwise, I guess obviously that's your decision, but I appreciate you reviewing it.
Your Honor, I'd like to have the safety committee review that as soon as possible.
I think she has a valid point.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
fine.
So refer it to public safety, and we're at the end of the school year,
I know.
which all of the kids are jumping up and down. And
They
yeah.
are, but not to sound, I've actually started taking videos
Yeah.
because I know it's a very strange, I see it a lot, and so I can show you the
I
danger
say,
that I've seen.
hang on to those, and then if public
She-
safety needs them when we meet.
I have
I've
them.
actually seen them, so, yeah.
When I mentioned this to Clark, he said, I hate stop signs. And I
But-
said.
Not me.
I said, I hate them, but I said I can almost support this
He
one.
said
So-
this is a safety
So
issue. He
truthfully,
did. So I appreciate it.
I want to share with you, thank you so much for bringing this
Yes.
to our attention.
You're welcome.
And we will take it up with the safety committee and see what we can get done.
I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you
Have a
very
great
much.
day.
I appreciate it. Okay, moving on. Citizen John?
Nothing.
Clark?
No, sir, thank you.
Delana?
Thumbs up to all the graduates.
I'll pass, thank you.
Okay. I have a thumbs up one, and that is I want everybody to realize and know that our ambulance crew for this town, or the EMS is called, is having their 40th anniversary program Thursday night from 5 to 7 p.m. There will be a meal furnished on a free donation, and where that donation will go will be towards life-saving equipment. And they are also offering free blood pressure checks. So I encourage anyone to help them celebrate their 40th anniversary this coming Thursday night from 5 to 7.
Is that number 2?
Fire Station 2, yes, excuse me, thanks. It's on 12th Street, right. Okay, moving on to the consent items. All items listed under the consent agenda will be enacted by one motion. Be no separate discussion on those items unless a request is made prior to the time the council votes on the motion. Today, we've got 9 of them. Approval of the May 5th, 2015 regular meeting. List of bills for the period ending 5/15/15. A monthly financial statement for April 2015. Renewal of the liquor license for Fairway and Hy-Vee. A transfer liquor license for the KC. A non-bargaining pool of funds for fiscal year 16. A fire and ambulance personal salary adjustments for the fiscal year 2016. An interfund transfer fees, and the LBIC request for a lot number 4 in our addition out there. I think you've all had an opportunity to look over all these. Is there any questions on any of them before we?
I would like to pull number 7.
Number 7. Fire and ambulance personnel salary adjustments.
Got a quick question. I think my record will clearly show that I'm 100% behind fire and ambulance, but how do you guys get one more holiday than everybody else? Or at least one more holiday. Christmas Eve is not a holiday, and New Year's Eve is not a holiday. But I see it kind of struck me. I thought, what are all these holidays?
That,
I mean,
what we do with those, like, Christmas Eve is usually a city holiday. The 24th is a city holiday.
okay,
So if I don't have a staff person that's gonna cover that holiday, then I
Gotcha.
work the holiday.
okay,
And it's cheaper to pay the staff person than to pay me to work the holiday.
okay,
Also on those other days that we pop on there for holidays, both ambulance and fire, those are usually either city holidays or holiday nights that we cover night shifts with. So if we can't find people to cover those, then your full-time staff are covering those at this rate compared to this lower rate to pay
Okay.
those folks.
okay.
So that's why we list those. So actually, yeah, that's not every one of those is a holiday, correct? But it is in that holiday weekend or in that holiday scheme of where it's either a city holiday that day, not necessarily that night, that we're trying to fill
Okay.
1 or 2 people instead of using your full-time people.
I can live with that.
Okay.
Can I ask you a question,
Yes,
Clerk?
sir.
Okay, thank you, Dave.
Motion to approve consent items 1 through 9.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and second to approve the consent items 1 through 9. Do we need a roll call on that, please, Viv?
Perky?
Yes.
Goodchild?
Yes.
Marcinko?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Knapp?
Motion carried. Thank you. Moving on to the action items. Solid waste fees. Our new contract with Van Sanitation went into effect January 1st of 2015. As a result of that new 5-year contract, Vans was allowed at one time 50 cent per customer per month increase in the rate they charge the city. We have now received notice that effective July 1st of 2015, the Plymouth County Solid Waste Agency will be increasing their rates. Unfortunately, we are not able to absorb the combined effect of these 2 rate increases. Therefore, the Solid Waste Committee has been meeting and looking for solutions to this problem. The committee believes the only way to offset the increases is to increase the rates we pass on to our residential and commercial customers. As you can see in the attachment, the rate for the residential trash pickup will go from $10 per month to $11 per month. It should be noted that this new rate is still $1 a month less than the rate residents paid for the period from 2004 to 2009. And the reason it is in 2010, the rate was lowered to $10 per month. The Solid Waste Fund is also used to maintain and operate the leaf and grass site which has been a welcome service to the residents of Lamar's. The Solid Waste Committee and the staff is recommending that the council approve the new rate structure effective July 1st, 2015. Financial impact, if it's approved, the increased revenue of about $50,000 will help to continue to operate the leaf and the grass site for no cost to users and will allow us to maintain an adequate fund balance to operate. Questions?
Question on the proposed rates, the 35-gallon, the half-size tote has traditionally been less than the full-size tote because trash is all based on tonnage. And I see that that goes up to equalize with the $11 instead of just going up the $1.
Yeah, I think one of the main thoughts behind that is that it takes the same truck, the same operator, the same equipment, the same energy, the same time for that operator to stop and pick up the smaller tote versus a larger tote. So really, if you want to get technical, the tonnage may not be an equal proportionate, but if you want to take the tonnage per the hassle of picking that tote up, the cost is actually higher to pick them up. Do you get what I'm saying? Because you're picking up less tonnage with the same energy, effort, and stuff. So the committee, I think, decided that we'd just do away with that, the differential. That was our thinking.
It's still a bargain. It's a bargain of whatever the rate, $11 is a bargain.
Yeah, I
How many of the small totes do we have out there, Bill? Do you have an approximate? Not the recycling ones, just the regular.
While Bill's looking that up, Ken is 100% right. Our rates are an absolute bargain. I had Angie Knipe look up for me, give me a little information, and just for informational purposes, Orange City pays $18.50 for the very same pickup. Sheldon, $15.50. Sioux Center, $18.50, and Sioux City, $15.50, and we're going to 10. So we're a bargain.
And do any of them have split fees on the multiple totes?
I didn't have, actually, a couple of them add surcharges. As far as multiple totes, I don't know. I can't tell you.
I mean, as far as different size totes.
But I just wanted to back up what Ken said there. We're at an absolute bargain. Plus, we had absolutely no control over the landfill raising their rates on us midstream, so.
And does those include their tree and branch?
You know what, Dick, I don't know. She didn't, I don't think she went into it. She
You'd
just.
be amazed at the people that use the tree and branch.
Yeah.
site
We got a bunch of
At
them.
no cost.
Yeah, absolutely.
People,
Okay,
Bill's still looking that up.
I think it was around 500.
I think we originally got 500, and that's all we ever got, so it's like 395 or
Still got
something.
some in storage.
Okay.
We haven't got them
oh,
out yet.
they were out and some have come back
Yeah.
and they decided they wanted the bigger ones.
Larger
so.
ones.
I think that one of the things to point out in this thing is the leaf and grass site. I think people will gladly pay for it. That's the happiest bunch of people on Saturdays and Wednesday afternoons, to have a place to get rid of it without having to go out to the landfill. And as you know, we've added expenses out there. We're added Wednesday. We've also spent a lot of money upgrading the site out there so that we don't have a fire hazard. And we continue to try to improve that area, so.
And just to clarify, you aren't saying that we will start charging a fee for that? That's
No,
just a
I'm
portion
saying,
of this
I'm
increase
saying
would go
people would
towards-
gladly pay to keep that open.
Right, I just wanted to clarify so
Yeah,
that people aren't
yeah.
thinking we're charging for that too.
Motion approving resolution number 15-12, setting a new rate for solid rate, what?
13.
Okay, you screwed me up when you did that. 15-13, setting a new rate for solid waste service provided to the residents and businesses of Le Mars.
is there a second?
So moved.
Approved resolution number 15-13, setting the new rates for solid waste service provided to residents and businesses in Lamar's. Could we have a roll call on that, Ben?
Nat,
Yes.
Rexbro,
Yes.
Perky,
No,
Goodchild,
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Motion carried.
I'm not the only Thor.
Moving on to the CVB remodel lower level of Convention Center. The Convention and Visitor Bureau Board is requesting the council authorize the use of collected but uncommitted hotel and motel tax revenue to the renovation of the lower level of the Lamar's Convention Center. Hotel and motel collections began in 2001, and the CVB Board has never awarded all the funds that have been collected, so there is a fund balance of approximately $116,000. The CVB Board would like council to approve the spending of $100,000 of this balance for the renovation of the lower level of the Convention Center. The upper level was remodeled 2 years ago. The CVB Board believes that this renovation is critical in the continued availability for renting out our convention center. The CVB Board and City Administration are recommending the approval of this use of hotel motel revenues. The financial impact is represented by this $100,000 expense would be from the existing balance at the hotel motel fund. Should additional dollars be needed to complete the project, those would come from the existing Westmar fund balance. Questions?
I would assume that we're also going to update the electric at the time for the efficiencies we're trying to get. I don't know if that's been checked out there, but I think it's all fluorescent.
We're in the process of getting a package, and the way it's set up, they're going to evaluate the different projects that are identified. And if you put one project in, when you put the second project in, you get an additional rebate on the first project. So what we're trying to come up with is an overall payback, and it's probably going to be less than what we're looking at, Bill, Clark, maybe less than 3 years for all of these measures, and a tremendous amount of energy savings.
Good, good.
Is that your question, Ken?
Yes.
Any other questions?
Is the
should
dollar
mark
amount
dollars on
based
top
on
of
the
that.
upper level
you want to see?
renovation?
Correct, yep, that would be for materials and kind of running it exactly like we did when we remodeled the upper level, utilizing city staff as much as we can in the winter, so that's what our plan is, and it would be something that would be similar and complement what we've already done upstairs.
And I realize you don't have the same issue, the windows and all of that, but was that, the 100,000 was about what was spent upstairs, or was it more? Or?
Correct.
It was-
It was more than 100, but
Right.
yeah, we don't have as much with the windows.
But there's still
and
some of
stuff.
the same issues, like the
Correct.
ceiling and,
Yes. The ceiling-
flooring.
The ceiling is probably one of the bigger
yeah.
expenses.
Well, it was upstairs too.
Yeah, so downstairs, it will be similar to that, just especially with those beams that are in there, so trying to configure a drop ceiling and not make it look too short and things like
Right.
that, so.
But still keep it so that it can be
Yes.
separated into
Yes.
multiple, okay.
But Ken made a good point. I think we should incorporate those energy efficiency measures at the same time we're doing the remodeling.
Well, this isn't done until December, January.
Right,
So we're gonna
so
do
it's
it,
perfect
you
timing for us
guys-
for, yep.
Perfect.
You guys know that right now, you better get your ducks in a row on.
They're lining up. They're lining up.
We certainly had a lot of compliments, I know, in regard to when we redid the convention center up above. A lot of people really appreciated that.
I know, that's what we need to get
And
that
they
down
did a
there
good
done.
service.
And the purpose of the hotel motel is
Goes for
to
that.
generate heads and beds, as we've been
Yep.
saying for
My
15
question would be
years.
the floor. I assume there's asbestos in that floor. Are we covering it, or we're not pulling it,
This-
that's for sure?
No, this does not have us doing anything to the
Good.
existing floor in there.
Any other questions for Jessica? Thank you, Jessica.
Motion authorizing the use of $100,000 hotel motel fund balance for the remodeling of the lower level of the Lamar's Convention Center.
Is there a second?
So moved.
Motion been made and second authorizing the use of $100,000 of hotel motel fund balance for the remodeling of the lower level of the Lamar's Convention Center. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 3, the Code of Ordinances. At its April 21st, 2015 meeting, the council held a public hearing on the proposed Code of Ordinances amending City Code and approved the first reading of the ordinance. The second reading was approved at the May 5th, 2015 meeting. The ordinance is attached. Staff recommends approving the third reading and adopting the ordinance.
Motion approving the third reading of ordinance number 926, approving City of Lamar's Code of Ordinances.
Is there a second?
So moved.
Motion made and second approving the third reading of the ordinance number 926, approving City of Lamar's Code of Ordinances. Can we have a roll call, Bev?
Goodchild,
Yes.
Erky,
Yes.
Knapp,
Yep.
Markswinkle.
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Motion adopting ordinance number 926, approving City of Lamar's Code of Ordinances on its third reading.
Is there a second?
So moved.
Motion made and second adopting of ordinances number 926, approving City of Lamar's Code of Ordinances on its third reading. Could we have a roll call on that, Bev, please?
Goodchild,
Yes.
Erky,
Yes.
Knapp.
Yep.
Markswinkle.
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Motion carried. Okay, moving on to the discussion. John?
Nothing, Your Honor?
Nothing. Nothing?
Nothing.
Ken?
Well, I was going to ask the fire chief, because there've been 6 or 7 fires in the same quadrant, is that an issue because of the age of the housing there, or is there something that you could identify?
No, it actually kind of been something different. Today was an unattended candle left going by the family when they went to work at school this morning. And, you know, thank God there's 7 people living there with 5 kids from age 13 to 2. So kind of glad everybody was gone. But we've had electrical with one, we've had cigarettes with one, we've had a candle with one, so it's all kind of different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all.
Okay. Bill?
Just want to remind everybody that Recycletronics will be here Friday from 2 to 6 in the back parking lot. You got any old computers, copiers, microwaves, anything like that, TVs, this is the time to clean them out.
Cost?
There is a cost on some of the items, a small cost. Again, some depending on size, it might be $5 or $10, but most electronics are free. And there is a list at the front counter of what there is a cost for, so.
Can they be in a cardboard box? I mean, like an old printer, when you get a new one and you put it in the box, or do you gotta just bring in just the item?
I think they'll accept it either way, I think.
Okay, good.
Again, it's not city staff, it's Recycletronics that come down and pick up all the items.
Right, okay.
Okay, I want to thank all the council members again.